One of the things that caught my eye out here is that Cryo-Trans refrigerator car. I can't tell if it's a mechanical reefer. I'm thinking it maybe it is. But at any rate, I can't wait to get inside because I want to take good pictures of that. I had that refrigerator car in O gauge. Lionel actually made that in scale. The 57-foot mechanical reefer. That's what it looks like. Looks like they put some kind of air conditioning unit on it. But that's a cool piece, and I can't wait to get pictures of that because I do have that. So it's always nice to see something, even if it's at a museum. So here's that Cryo-Trans car, or a Cryo-Trans reefer I was spotting and drooling over because I actually have this and O gauge, and it is a 57-foot mechanical reefer, and it looks like they got a doorway here that you can actually look inside. But I actually have spotted Cryo-Trans refrigerated cars in on Real Rail Fan videos. I've seen a couple in real life myself. This is just a cool piece. So let's take a look. Let's go on this thing. And this is an excessive height car. Oh my God. So we are inside. We are inside of a Cryo-Trans. This is a 57-foot. They've done away with these and they made them bigger. But we are inside of a 57-foot mechanical reefer, Cryo-Trans reefer car, and it gives you some information, and it gives you some dimensions here. Looks like it's Cryo-Trans. Trying to read this as I'm going across here. And it gives you some information. First cryogenic refrigerator car, plate F. So this one's actually bigger. Interior length 64 foot, extreme length 75. So this is not what I thought it was. So this is a cryogenic refrigerator car and not a mechanical reefer. So now I am correcting myself. So when I first spotted it, I thought it was a 57-foot mechanical reefer, but it doesn't seem to be that. Here you go. 50 new 72-foot mechanical refrigerated cars were constructed. I did not know that. I did not know that Cryo-Trans had 72-foot. I thought the biggest one out there was 64. So I'm actually learning something today. I thought Trinity Rail, or Trinity, which is a manufacturer of rail cars, I thought the Trinity 64-foot reefer car or refrigerated car was the biggest one out there, but not what I'm reading here. So it looks like 2001 to 2012, Cryo-Trans expanded its fleet with 64 and 72-foot refrigerated cars. 2013, 50 new 72-foot mechanically refrigerated rail cars were constructed and added to the fleet. 2014, Cryo-Trans introduced the first new insulated 68-foot private box cars. Wow, I'm just learning so much. 2015, 50 new 72-foot mechanically refrigerated rail cars and 25 insulated rail cars were constructed, added to the fleet. January of 2016, a private railcar food and beverage association was established by a select group of railcar shippers. By the end of the year, the Cryo-Trans fleet consisted of more than 1,800 mechanically refrigerated and insulated cars. 2017, the first F Cryogenic refrigerated car number 1200 arrives at the B&O Railroad Museum. So this is not a mechanical reefer, it's a cryogenic refrigerated car. That works totally different than a mechanical reefer. So yeah, wow, I just learned a lot today just by coming here about the real thing. And so what I was saying is I just can't believe the amount of room that you would have to cool and freeze in here. And this thing's high, it's up there. It's the interior, I'm trying to find the height. So this thing is 17 foot in extreme height, but the actual interior height inside here is 11 foot 3 inches. So that's what we're looking at here, 11 foot 3 inches. It has a 6,495 cubic feet capacity. So that's how much they would have to freeze in here. So I'm just learning so much. All right, let's move on. So here's what they meant by plate F. Box cars and reefer cars have a plate lettering on them, and this is plate F. Here's your reporting mark, CRYX Cryo-Trans number 1200. So this is actually a cryogenic car. So we'll do a pan of the Cryo-Trans refrigerated car. Sorry if I'm concentrating a lot on this particular piece, but it's just something new that I learned, how there was a cryogenic refrigerated. So we're looking closer at this Cryo-Trans number 1200, which is a cryogenic refrigerated car. And you can see, like I said, how it's got the warnings on it. Open carbon dioxide or the opposite end before filling. And excessive height car. There's your plate F that they were talking about. As we walk along, we'll keep looking at all the different warnings. Because I'm so used to either mechanical reefers and or the Trinity 64-foot reefer. I had no idea about these cryogenic cars that actually used carbon dioxide gas for cooling. So I'm sure there was a lot of safety precautions and for loading and unloading these things. So I'd like to go over some historical facts of Cryo-Trans number 1200. It was manufactured by Greenbrier Rail Services / Gunderson Rail Services, built in June of 1987. 1985, Cryo-Trans entered the shipping world on American railroads. On August 12, 1986, a patent was filed for cryogenic refrigeration systems. Work began on CRYX number 1200 in June 1987 at Greenbrier Rail Services facility in Portland, Oregon. On July 1st, the outer shell for the car was completed. The car was then sent to Gunderson Rail Services in Findlay, Washington for work on the interior, cryogenic system, paint, and decals. On November 10th, the patent for a cryogenic system was approved. A Canadian patent was also filed by Cryo-Trans that year, but was not approved until December 18, 1990. Cryo-Trans provided customers with the opportunity to name their leased freight cars. As per tradition, the names were based on geographic locations. Upon its debut in fall 1987, number 1200 received the name of Colorado Springs. From 1987 to 2015, the car mostly carried shipments of frozen French fries for McDonald's. Over the years, the car was photographed many times, usually pulled by a CSX train. The car has an extreme height of 17
foot high, cubic feet capacity of 6,495 cubic feet, and load capacity of 183,500 pounds. The one of the car is outfitted with several manifolds where liquid carbon dioxide can be pumped in. The top compartment or bunker of the car would fill with CO2 and transform into a snow-like substance. The walls and floor have a series of openings and channels that allow the gas created from the snow to circulate and completely refrigerate the goods within. A car with the dimensions of number 1200 could keep goods frozen at 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower for a period of 16 days during the hottest part of the summer. From 2000 to 2001, Cryo-Trans converted most of their fleet to mechanically refrigerated cars due to the rising CO2 costs. However, number 1200 retained its original cryogenic system. Over the next 15 years, Cryo-Trans added longer cars to their fleet. In 2016, Cryo-Trans fully refurbished number 1200 in Washington. Upon completion, it was donated to the B&O Railroad Museum in May of 2017. So what I did not know is that there were actually 72-foot reefers. I thought Trinity Rail, the biggest reefer, was 64 foot, but Cryo-Trans actually has 72-foot refrigerator cars. So that was very interesting for me to learn. I did find out, however, Cryo-Trans really did have 57-foot mechanical reefers. And here's one that was photoshopped in 1996. And here is the Lionel O-Gauge 57-foot Cryo-Trans mechanical reefer on my layout. And as you see, why I took such an interest in that Cryo-Trans reefer that was staged at the B&O Railroad Museum. Because, like I said, I mentioned, it's so neat to relate the model trains that you have to something that is, the real thing. And if you like to have or model real trains, then it's cool to see the real thing in person. And I learned a lot that day about Cryo-Trans, and I thought the biggest or the longest reefer was 64 foot, but Cryo-Trans actually has 72-foot reefers that were added into their fleet. I did not know that Cryo-Trans had cryogenic cars that used CO2 or carbon dioxide for refrigerant or for freezing. So, so I'm not claiming to be a railroad expert by any means. I'm always willing to learn, and as you see in the beginning of the video, as I walked into the museum, I'm thinking that what I saw was a 57-foot mechanical reefer, but instead it was actually a 64-foot cryogenic reefer. And so also just wanted to point out the 57-foot mechanical reefer actually has an engine compartment, or an engine that is on the side of it here, right there. So it would have an engine and compressor mounted inside of the car. They normally used the ones in the early 70s to late 80s would use a 2-cylinder Detroit diesel engine, which was a 2-stroke engine to power the compressor. But then Trinity Rail came along and they started making reefer units that mounted on one end or the other of the car, pretty much like a modern reefer trailer for a tractor trailer today. So I hope you enjoyed my adventures, and hopefully we learned something together. And I'm looking forward to my next adventure and learning more about the real trains. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next video.